How's it going, everybody? Today I have a video that definitely is going to piss off a lot of people, but it's for a good reason. Why your band will more than likely, 99% chance, never make it. Hey, real quick, before I jump into this video, if you're interested in private guitar instruction with yours truly online, my email is in the link in the description below. Just shoot me an email, state your case, and I will get back to you. Also, don't forget to sign up for my free monthly newsletter, free written guitar lesson every month, as well as access to all of my tabs. Link in the description and pinned comment as well. Back to the video. Why do I say these things? Well, I've been in a lot of bands in my life. Some bands more successful than other bands. Obviously, I already am well aware that I'm going to get a ton of comments from people that are like, I've never heard of your band, I've never heard of you, F you. Fair enough. Look, I realize the title of this video is crazy, but I want to give you a lot of feedback that will actually help you in your life, in your music career. If you're in a band, trying to get your band off the ground, I actually want to help you. I want this information to serve you right. I want you to watch this video and come away from this with, for one, a sense of reality and what may apply to your situation, but also what the right steps to do are for your best chances of actually becoming successful in your original music. Because here's the truth. The hardest part of the entire music industry to make it in is your own original music. There are so many difficult yet easier avenues to go down in this industry that involve working for other people. Now, there's a really good analogy that many people throw around, which is basically you're either going to spend your entire life working to build someone else's dreams, or you can build your own dreams. Now, I've, of course, from a young age, always been in the school of thought that I would like to build my own dreams, and of course have set out to make that happen. I'm obviously here on YouTube. This is a blessing. I love doing this. It's fantastic. And I want to be able to kind of share with you that mindset, and maybe things in the past that I could have changed with bands I was in, what didn't work, what did work, etc., etc. So let's talk about why, first of all, 99% of bands don't make it. Now, I'm not really sure why this is still a thing, but I guess it was just such a legendary time when this actually did exist that people still buy into it, because frankly it is the nicest fantasy mystery that you could have in your head about making it. And that pretty much is that you will go play a club like the Whiskey A Go-Go. You'll play a really awesome set of your original music. Maybe all you have is demos at the moment, and you play this awesome set, and there just happens to be some A&R guy from Warner Brothers sitting in the crowd, back all the way in the back where it's really dark, watching your set the whole time. And then as you're packing up your band equipment, he comes up to you and he says, "Hey kid, I could make you huge." So let me tell you how many shows I've played in my life and how many times this has happened to me. I've probably played thousands of shows in my life. Like, actually, that's probably the number at this point. And that has happened to me exactly 0 times in my entire life. But I am going to tell you what has happened. Okay? I have met a lot of people at shows that promise things that are not true. And these things that they usually promise happen to be management deals. Or I could record your record for an obscene amount of money, and then they're not actually very good at what they're doing. Or I could manage your band. I'm a management company. I actually won't say the name of that company in this video. Of course, you have the off-chance magical scenario of someone actually who is somebody there to discover your band, but the chances of this are literally maybe 1% ever in all of history. Now, I actually did meet my manager, David, at a show that we played, and he actually was a fantastic manager,
and managed us for years. And that was kind of a very specific scenario, but also highly unlikely. And the reason I bring that up is because I also, before that, many times over had the scenario that I'm presenting to you, where lots of kind of slimy, crony people would come up making offers that were way too good to be true, wanting tons of money up front, and basically said, hey, I'll get you from point A to point B with literally zero track record of ever doing anything to help any band, and then they want you to pay them like $50,000 up front. Sometimes they'll even get you on lower increments. There was a certain company in Phoenix, Arizona, that I'm not sure if I want to name them in the video, but basically they tried to offer bands on like a monthly subscription to their management, and they would offer you like recording, but the recording was really like this dude that was in a bedroom of his mom's house. No offense, but you know, when you're paying money to people, you got to have the real thing. You got to actually get a good product, right? And these are lessons that either you might end up going through as a band or an artist in general, or maybe you watch this video and you're able to very quickly avoid these things and fast track yourself past all that crap into meeting people that actually are good for your career. Let's talk about why playing live in the first place is a terrible idea if you're trying to profit in 2025. Now, there's many reasons for this, but the main reason is, especially if you're in a band, bands make no money, especially if you are nobody. Hey, that rhymes, but it's actually true. When you go to play a gig, as I've stated in many of my past videos, many of these gigs, especially for original music, almost exclusively, is all pay to play. Now, what is pay to play? Well, it's similar to payola, right? You used to pay, well, you still do actually, to get your song on the FM radio station. Well, these days you pay to get your band up on a stage in front of like 10 people. Now, how does that sound to you? You might spend $200 on a show, and here's how they sell it to you. Oh, yeah, we'll put your band on the bill. Just come down to the box office and pay for this stack of tickets. Well, there's probably maybe 50 tickets. Sometimes maybe there's more depending on how big the show is and who the openers are and who the headliners are. But let's just say you're doing a local showcase. They might have every band sell 50 tickets for the show. Well, if you don't sell the 50 tickets, guess what happens? You don't play the show unless you literally front the money out of your wallet and give it to the promoter, because they don't actually care how many people show up to the show for the exposure of the bands. All they care about is the payout for the night. Money talks and bullshit walks.
Money talks and bullshit walks.
So for all these bands that do these things, they constantly get sucked in to the local music scene. Now, I've received a lot of comments on my channel that basically say things like, man, you need to support the local music scenes. Why does no one support local music scenes anymore? Well, I'm going to tell you why right now. It's this reason right here. It's because 90% of the promoters of local shows are doing pay to play, and none of the bands make any money. And what this does is this actually causes a digression of the music scene, because the bands become so desperate most of the time to pay out of pocket for the tickets that the same people end up showing up to the shows. Because what happens? Who's guaranteed to come to see your gig if you're doing pay to play? Well, your family's going to buy a ticket. Probably your friends will buy a ticket even if they don't really like your band that much. And maybe you have an online presence that maybe a few actual fans will show up to the gig. And then guess what happens? 90% of the people you sold the tickets to don't actually come and just paid you the money to be friendly to you. Maybe you get like a few people there, and then for the ones left over, if you don't sell them, you're paying out of pocket, losing money on every show. Well, then when your band's done playing, the next band goes on stage that had to do the same thing. And since all your friends that showed up didn't really care about showing up to your gig anyways, because they were kind of just there for moral support, they're going to leave for the next band's set, and this is just going to continue into the cycle all night long. Unless you are actually a live music connoisseur, which of course we love all those people, we need more of you in the world, but they are few and far between. This is usually the cycle that happens for local bands in local music scenes, causing there to really be not much of a scene in the first place, which is why a lot of people move to music cities like LA and Nashville to try to get their foot in the door. Let's also talk about why playing live is not financially lucrative for your band. Let's say you actually do get a slim chance gig that does end up paying you and profiting you. There's two ways this could happen. If you actually have a pretty good following in the local scene, you spent years building it up, and people actually are fans of your band and buy the tickets directly from you, well, you could actually end up going in the green from some shows, because usually you have a minimum, and then the promoter will say, hey, if you sell any more, keep the money, which they know is usually not going to happen, which is why they offer those minimums. But to bigger bands that have been in the scene longer, they can actually turn a profit if they have like 200 people buying a ticket. But then let me tell you what happens. Then you got to split this money 4, maybe 5 ways. Maybe you got a huge band, you're splitting it like 10 ways. But let's just keep it simple and say you're splitting it 4 ways. Let's say you made $400. Well, each member, and this is actually pretty lucky, I guess, if you're making $100 off your original music in a night, but each member is obviously taking home $400, split 4 ways, $100 per member. Now let's talk about the time that was spent into the show. You had all that rehearsal time, all that practice. Who knows how many days you spent practicing as a band? Well, let's say you got something like a call time at like 2 p.m. and you don't go on till 9 o'clock. You can't even load your gear on stage till maybe 5 p.m. because you got to wait for the other openers before you to do their sound check, but you can't leave the venue because your call time is this time that you have to be there. Well, guess what? Now you've been at the venue 7 hours and you're only making $100 in 7 hours. Then you got to factor in actually playing your set. Maybe you're playing for an hour. Now you've been at the gig 8 hours. Now you got to load out all the gear, and that's probably going to take you another hour. Now you've been at the gig 9 hours, maybe even 10 hours. Then you got to drive the gear back to your storage spot because you don't want to just let it sit in the parking lot for people to steal it. Maybe you're one of the bands that designates certain members to load out while another one goes to the merch booth. Well, either way, people are sticking around the gig maybe 10, 11 hours in one day at a venue, and you only got paid $100. Hopefully you can make that up in merch sales, but really, are you actually growing your numbers, or is this just spinning your wheels? Well, maybe you're tired of selling tickets, so you tell your band, we should record an album. Well, let me tell you why this is going to end up being a huge waste of time and a huge waste of your money. So you're going to get in the studio and you're going to record maybe, I don't know, 10 songs. Let's cut it short and say you record an EP. 5 songs, okay? Let's say that you get a really good engineer, you're a really good local producer, he's like top of the line for that town. Maybe he's going to charge you $500 to $1,000 a song to record. Let's say we meet this in the middle. You had this recording done for $750 a song on the average, and you only did an EP, so you did 5 songs. That's $3,750 for 5 songs, and now you want to release your songs out into the world. Well, guess what? You don't have a fan base because all your shows, you only have 5 people showing up, and you only got maybe 400 followers on Instagram total. You really think 400 people are going to buy 400 CDs? No. The ratio doesn't even make sense. You know, statistically, if you have 100,000 followers, 1% of your audience will actually buy your product. Higher the number is that actually follows you, whether it's in real life or on social media, 1% will actually buy something from you. So of course your odds are better the higher the number is. So you only got 400 followers on Instagram and 5 people come to your shows on the average that are actual fans and not just your friends or family. Well, you're about to lose $3,750. So then you're going to backtrack all these mistakes, repeat the same cycle thinking, well, hey, we just didn't have a hit record yet. You know, we just need to write better music. We just need to sell more tickets. No, you're doing everything in reverse. You really want to start a band or get your solo project off the ground in 2025, you're going backwards. Everything is accessible through the age of the internet and social media. Really, the right way to approach this is planning everything in advance. If you really want to build a following / a fan base in 2025, you have to have something to offer that is different from everyone else. Let me give you examples of ways to go viral and build your following on social media in the age of 2025. I'm going to be very frank with you. If you don't know how to record yourself, at least to a moderate level, you're already behind in the game. Now, why do I say that? Well, a lot of artists that are making it right now, whether it be original music, the Instagram guitar community, singers on TikTok, what do they all have in common? Well, everybody is generally able to record themselves to somewhat of a decent quality in their own house whenever they want to. This automatically saves time and saves money. Does it mean you have to be the world's greatest engineer? No, absolutely not. Now, of course, if that's a skill you want to develop, there's definitely many benefits to having that skill. But at least you want to get a somewhat high fidelity recording for every single thing that you put out on the internet. Now, you've probably seen that even in my own videos, that when I go to do a playthrough or any kind of guitar solo or any kind of, what if this guy played this solo? You're never gonna hear me just do a phone recording through a bunch of speakers back here and grab the raw audio and upload it to YouTube. Never, because for one, you guys expect better than that, and two, it is not professional. And unfortunately, a lot of bands have been sold this package, the ones that I kind of just laid out, of kind of living in the dark ages, the dinosaur age, if you will, that, everything you do has to be grandiose. You have to pay for a huge recording package at a huge studio. You have to play live all the time and sell tickets and build the fan base organically. But the truth is, the times have changed. If you can't record at least a demo, something pretty decent sounding in your own home, you are about 15 years behind the 8 ball. And I don't mean to offend anybody by saying that, it's just the truth. Anytime I want to write new music or record a video for YouTube, I literally have the studio right here at my fingertips whenever I want to. Now, I am actually an engineer and a producer on top of doing these things, but I know plenty of other musicians that just have the basic setup of what I have that can just do moderate recordings no problem. You don't need a million plugins. Really, all you need is a laptop, an interface, and just a way to plug in and record. You'll get a decent recording quality for what you want to do. Now, here's the other thing. Don't just constantly blow your wad on a huge recording project and feel like you have to release a project at one time. We are, whether you like it or not, living in the age of fast music. Songs, especially popular ones, are really like 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes at the max, if that, and being released constantly. So if you pay $3,750 for a huge recording, that's a lot of money just to spend on 5 songs that are going to be all gone for the consumer within a couple of months if you're lucky. What you really should consider doing is certain types of content that speak to you. There's so many ideas out there that I see with new artists that are really actually very creative. Now, some of it even is gimmicky. There's bands out there that will do really spectacular covers of other people's music and upload it to YouTube. That's a great way to build a following and kind of hype your act up while you're getting ready to actually launch an original song. I've seen so many artists do this on YouTube where they'll constantly just release covers of songs. They're not like the most amazing recording polished up all the time, but it's good enough to at least get the message across to where then they do put a little bit of money into the single and maybe a video that they want to put out that's a little bit more professional. And then they've already built up a following from their cover music, and then they start grabbing people that actually like their original music, because audiences don't just latch on to the music, unfortunately. A lot of it has to do with your charisma, how you are, how you interact with your fan base. And as stated before, the fastest way to interaction is through the social media sphere. You guys leave me comments. I try to answer a lot of the comments. It is a symbiotic relationship in that way. going to a show is something that people nowadays feel like they have to literally take time out of their day, spend money, and go all the way to a place just to see something they've never seen before. People rather not take the risk. Now look, unfortunately, as George Carlin says, it's a big club and you ain't in it.
It's a big club and you ain't in it.
What do I mean by that? Precisely that. You got to kind of wedge your way into that world. Now, these days I find it to be a little bit less gatekeeping than it used to be because of social media being so accessible, but it still is something where you want to meet people, make connections as much as possible. Back in a different time, moving to a music city would have been something that is much better for somebody to do, but these days you don't need to do that. You can just shoot emails out to people 24/7. Now, this is all a game of numbers when you think about it. You can send out 20 emails a week to influencers, asking them to promote your music, to maybe labels if that's something that is something you want to go down that path. People that have eyes on the music industry, their thumb on the pulse, however it applies to you. Maybe you send it out to YouTubers to see if they'll review your music. Send out 20 emails a week. You will get a response. It is all about the persistence and keeping on going. Now, of course, there's the dark side of it being a big club that you ain't in, but that doesn't mean that if you don't build up your own following on your own, you can't have the leverage to not have to do the crony label antics that people always warn about on the internet, including myself. My recommendation to you is if you're trying to be a solely original music artist, build your platform on your own. Don't be a slave to a record label if you can help it. Maybe at the time it's the best deal for you. Only you can be the judge. But personally, I would stay away from record labels if I were you. My ultimate recommendation for everybody watching this video, if you are an artist or a band that is trying to become successful off of your own music, please have some realistic expectations for your life. It really is a game of numbers, and truly only 1% of artists actually make it. Now, I'm not discouraging anybody from doing this path, but I also want to talk about things that are realistic to being a professional musician. Now, let's just say that's what you want as your title. There is absolutely no shame in having a job. I just want to say that again. There is no shame in getting a job, having a job, as many would consider, and doing music on the side. Many people get in the misconception that if you are not a full-time musician, you are failing at your music career. Now, that is not the case, and no one should be able to judge that other than yourself. If you are comfortable with your life and you are comfortable with the way things are for yourself financially, and that makes you comfortable, there is absolutely no reason that anybody should be able to tell you that what you're doing is not the right thing. Now, I will continue to make more videos on this topic in the future as I have interviews of professional musicians that I will be putting out on the channel. Nashville musicians, LA musicians, talking about kind of how this all works and how they do it also in their everyday life, and how there is no shame in having a regular job on the side of your music career. You can have two careers. It does not matter. Okay. Now, I will say for myself personally, I am a full-time musician. I do not do anything else for work. This is it, as you all know, if you kind of watch the channel. So I definitely believe, of course, that you can be a full-time musician if that is what you absolutely want. But just know that it is one of the hardest careers you could ever embark on. And now I'm not taking away from other types of careers. Frankly, this is all I know because this is all I ever have done in my life. And I feel very fortunate to be able to say that to this day. And I would like to really be able to inspire and help you if you're watching this video and thinking that's what you want to do. But I also want to promote the fact that there is absolutely no shame in having a job on the side of you doing music, or maybe the music is on the side of you having the job. If you're happy That's what matters the most. So with all that being said, I guess I actually didn't really plan on even putting this at the end of the video, but I will say it now. I am planning on starting a little community, you know, where basically you can ask me all the questions you want about the industry and, you know, anything about your music, and I'm going to try to do like a live stream once a week for that as well and be able to answer the questions live. If that's something you're interested in as well, leave me a comment below and sign up for the free monthly newsletter. There I'll send you a free written guitar lesson every month. If you want one-on-one guitar instruction with me, email me below. It's in the link in the description, and I will get back to you promptly. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment below, and I'll see you on the next one.